A monsoon surge is expected to bring rainy and windy weather to Singapore over the next 4 days, with periods of moderate to heavy thundery showers and temperatures dropping to around 22 degrees Celsius in some areas. A monsoon surge refers to the strengthening of winds over the South China Sea, causing extensive rain clouds to form over the region. National Water Agency PUB says intense rainfall could mean a higher risk of flash floods. The public can access PUB flood alerts on Telegram or download the My ENV app to get warnings and alerts for heavy rain and possible flooding. There are also flood safety tips on PUB's Facebook page. Let's take a look at what exactly a monsoon surge is. The Met Service Singapore says that during the Northern Hemisphere winter from December to March, high-pressure systems usually develop over Northern Asia. These bring dry conditions and cold air over its land area. At times, a sudden increase in wind speed causes the cold air to surge southwards into the South China Sea and towards the low-pressure system in the Southern Hemisphere. That's the area around Singapore. This sudden surge of cold air is called a northeast monsoon surge. As cold winds move southwards over the South China Sea, they warm up and collect moisture. All this leads to the formation of dense rain clouds in the region over the equator. On occasions when the winds are very strong, they can bring moderate to heavy showers and the occasional thunderstorm to coastal regions in Southeast Asia, like Singapore. The showers can be continuous and prolonged, lasting from 2 to several days. On average, Singapore experiences 2 to 4 monsoon surges every year. To tell us more is Assistant Professor Wang Jingyu from the National Institute of Education. Professor Wang, wet weather this weekend, heavy rains and downpours with strong winds as well, with the risk of flash flooding. As we just mentioned, monsoon rains, floods certainly 3 to 4 times a year actually in Singapore. But increasingly we're hearing from climate scientists human-induced climate change making events like these more likely to happen, and when they do happen, more intense. How does this work in the Singapore context with this monsoon surge?
So, as a direct result of global warming, the monsoon surge events are becoming more frequent and more intense. Because of the rising temperature, it increases the amount of water vapor that the atmosphere can hold. So this can lead to heavier rainfall during the storm.
All right, rain-bearing systems, monsoon surge is just one of these possible systems. What other systems are there in Singapore that are relevant, certainly pertinent in our environment?
Okay. Other heavy rainfall events can also, cause heavy precipitation. For example, we have localized convection. So they are like a popcorn in the middle of the air. So with the abundant moisture supply and the environmental condition is also supportive, they can burst into, small-scale convective system. And these systems are also very hazardous because they can generate a heavy rainfall and cause local regional flooding.
All right, Professor Wang, the very fact that we're speaking to you right now suggests that we are both informed and therefore better prepared to handle wet weather and flash floods. What more would you recommend we do as the public to prepare ourselves for this wet weather? Okay,
first thing first is to stay informed. For example, as you mentioned, we should get the flood-wise by subscribing to the PUB Flood Alert Telegram channel and My ENV app to receive the heavy rainfall warning and also flood-related alerts. At least we should routinely check the weather forecast issued by MSS. Secondly, we need to plan ahead. So it's better to cancel the unnecessary travel during heavy rains and avoid flooding area. Also, we should keep an emergency kit ready with essentials like a flashlight, batteries, drinking water, and the first aid supplies. Lastly is sufficient protection. We need to ensure the electronic devices, especially the handphone and laptops, are adequately protected during the wet weather. For example, if caught in a heavy rain event, you need to store your phone in a sealed plastic bag to prevent water damage. When working through a flooded area, we need to keep everything above the potential water level. It is also very important to avoid making phone calls during the storms because it can attract lightning, which is very dangerous.
All right. Of course, Singapore, like other countries, working to bring our emissions to net zero by a definite deadline. But until then, we are looking at bad weather, wet weather. Singapore is, of course, under a La Niña watch. First, what is a La Niña watch and what would that translate into in terms of weather in the months ahead for 2025?
So because of the global circulation pattern, ideally, normally, the Western Pacific should be warmer than the Eastern Pacific. So we have this imbalance of the sea in regard of the sea surface temperature. However, when we have El Nino, such west warm, east cold pattern is switched. And La Nina represents not such switch, but an intensification of the temperature contrast. That means the Western Pacific, where Singapore is located, sea surface temperature become much warmer. So during a typical La Nina year, as I mentioned, the sea surface temperature is hotter than normal. So this can lead to increased moisture in the atmosphere because of the enhanced evaporation of the ocean water. So that can lead to higher chance of heavier rainfall. So consequently, the risk of flooding is elevated. As you mentioned, we are in the transition from El Nino to La Nina. So we need to stay vigilant and prepared for the potential extreme rainfall events in the coming months.
Thanks, Assistant Professor Wang Jingyu. They're helping us look ahead to the next few days and beyond that, to the next few months as well, from the National Institute of Education. Thank you, Professor Wang.